Alrighty, so here in week 10, we're going to start what I've been talking about, which is you writing code on your own, with help, of course, where you need it. And so, what I've decided is now that you've seen most of we've seen the CRUD operations. I still have a couple more I'll do in week 11, and not that we'll do the CRUD operations, but that will just enhance what we've already created. But I want you to think about a decision, right? What's a decision that you make on a relatively frequent basis? Okay, so that's and for this first part, all you're going to do is create variables. Now, because we're not going to immediately start with writing functions, outputting to the DOM, although you can use that update DOM function, but you can also just use the console if you want. Okay, you still need to build an HTML document because we're going to need that later. So I want you to have at least 3 global variables, okay, that will use the logic in the next step, this one, right? So first we have 3 variables. So we've created variables. We know how to create string, number, and Boolean. That part is probably relatively straightforward. What you want to think about is what things go into, what are the things that that govern my decision making, right? So as an example, if I was thinking about working out, right, I would have to think about the various things that would go into, can I go work out that day? So what are at least 3? Now you can use more if you want. Remember, eventually these will become inputs, right? So you'll want to think about that. Okay, so then you write the condition and use comparison operators. So if you want to be reminded, right, about conditions, right? And this is a really good write-up. I actually really recommend watching this, right? Should I eat one cookie or two, So if else, right? And in my case, I want you to have an if else and else at minimum, okay? So that would be the conditions, because you're feeding in the variables, right? The variables then are checked there for their condition and the output, right? So this code will run if this condition is true. But remember, and this is the other thing, is I also want you to use right here, and this is the 3 condition blocks I'm talking about: an if else, and an else, right? And use at least, right, the and the or. Now, if you want to play around with this, because we've done, at the beginning some of the discussion, but if you said true, right, of course this console log would run, right? Okay, so then you have to think about, okay, so then up here, now when I say true here, right, whatever the conditions that you placed in here, right? So sky triple equal to gray, just making stuff up right now, and right, time of day greater than. Now I didn't put this, I just put at minimum and an or, but think about, of course, using greater than, less than, or greater than. These things obviously are also usable. Okay, if time of day is greater than, now in this case, I'm just going to use numbers to represent time of day. I'm just kind of playing around. It's greater than 7. What's kind of cool about this when you're writing code in VS Code, right? It actually shows you, like if I did an if else here, right? I said, now I'd have to check for another condition, right? If else, and I would, actually, I think it's else if. Yep. Okay. Else if can work out, right? Now I could use that as a truthy value, right? Console.log, will this run, right? And I could have an else, final check. This will run if what? If neither of these above run. So what you can do is kind of just think about your decision-making process, right? And because I have it set up in VS Code, right? If you're ever in question, right, about what that's doing, you can also come down here and watch it run to see how it resolves. Okay, so if sky triple equal to gray, so we know by looking at this, because sky, right, is not, and time of day is greater than 7, which it is, right? But and they both have to be true. So if you're ever in question, just take that, copy it, paste it, and you can see it's false. So this is a way to help you make sure you're writing logic that outputs what you want. Okay. So in this case, if workout, right? Well, let's just let it run through to see it, right? Will this run? Okay. It will, because in this case it didn't. So this is using code to create decision output. Okay. And again, I want you to play with this, right? You can use the update function, like I said. You can use console.log, reach out for help. You do need to have at least an if, else if, and an else statement. You can, of course, have more elaborate things here. Okay, and I want you to actually consider writing code that represents a decision you make on a regular basis, because when you personalize it like this, it really helps you see how well you understand writing conditionals, using variables as input to check conditions, using comparisons to create the resolved true or false like I just showed you. Okay, so now the way this works is that I'm not going to provide my output. I'm just kind of giving some rough, just to clarify what it means. But after you submit this and I've given you feedback, you can ask for the video for my decision logic to see how I ran through it as well. I'm not going to put it in here, right? Because I'm actually going to code along with you, with us. I'm going to do this too for a decision that I make on a daily basis as well. So do your best. Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention this. Sorry. In your README file, before you even start, write at least one, complete paragraph that describes, should be describes your decision, your decision-making process, that you'll write code to show the output of said decision. Okay, so that's what this assignment will be. Now, what we'll end up doing is working on this for several weeks, maybe even depending on how far we get. I want us to get all the way to where we're creating a CRUD application, to where you can input, you can kind of see based on where we've been, what now goes into creating a CRUD app. So think about ultimately you'll end up doing that here. All right, hope this helps you out. Give me your URL history. Your commit history when you're here. Here's the commit message, right? I don't think I had, I only had to do one commit for this. Okay, so that's what I'll look for. All right, hope this helps. And again, if you want to see mine, I'll provide that once you submit your work. Reach out for help. Have fun with this.